In our hiring manager training and in our recruiter training, I make the case that while every company wants to hire top talent, more times than not, they go down a path that almost prevents them from hiring top talent. The basic concept is that the recruiting workflow and hiring processes used to hire top talent is fundamentally different than hiring everybody else. Specifically in our hiring manager training, as I end the program as a means of summarizing the whole program, I describe what I call the staffing spiral of doom catch-22, with the idea that what the hiring managers just went through for the last 8 hours, it can prevent them from entering this miserable pathway. Let me describe it and get your sense of what you think it might be. So the staffing spiral of doom, it starts off, unfortunately, with posting job descriptions. Once you post a traditional job description, you're almost lost. You're in the pathway, and it's very difficult to recover. Because I'm going to contend job descriptions really define lateral transfers. Skills, duties, responsibilities, and experience, that's at best a lateral transfer, certainly not a career move. So it ignores the 83% of the candidates who are passive and all the best active candidates. So let's be real frank. It only attracts the needy active candidates who need a job, unless you have such a big employer brand that you can override that. But nonetheless, your natural market is going after the needy active candidates. And I don't think most people want to do that. But that's the entry point to the staffing spiral of doom. Now matters get worse. You're now dealing with a pool of needy active candidates. Recruiters and researchers or sourcers now box check and weed out the weak. Say, what does this person have? And then you throw them in a good pile and in a bad pile. Then the decent pile, which might not be as decent as it could be, but with that remaining decent pile, we phone screen the people to see if they can communicate reasonably well. And then we compare their job description, that's the JD, to our compensation range, and we screen out a host of others. Little realizing that if good candidates see a great career move, compensation becomes less important. Not unimportant, but less important. But we use that as initial filter, which makes no sense whatsoever, because most people, when they see a great career move, are willing to compromise. And most companies, when they see a world-class candidate, are willing to compromise again on the upside. But now matters get worse. We now phone screen a smaller pool of candidates, meet the dollars, and meet the job description, and then we meet these people, and we judge them on first impressions. If they got a great first impression, we tend to ask them easy questions. If they have a weak first impression, we figure out how do we get them out of the room. But those that make a good first impression, we now go to the formal interview, and we assess their thinking, personality, and technical skills in some fashion, and each manager does it his or her own way. Rarely does what they do resemble the real job, because we haven't defined the real job. We've defined a job description that emphasizes skills, duties, and responsibilities. Now, to make matters even worse, which it's hard to believe, but this is the staffing spiral of doom I'm referring to. We then get everybody who interviewed the candidate, and we ask them their opinion. It's not very rigorous opinion, and we go through a yes-no voting system. But we all know that a no counts for far more than a yes in terms of weighting, because nobody wants to be here, I told you so. And a yes or no vote by the hiring manager or the more senior executive in the room even counts 2 to 3 times more valuable, yes or no, than the subordinates, as these people have some ulterior wisdom. No, we're just afraid to argue the situation. But look what we've got here. Bad job description, poor group of candidates, and poor assessment process. And we make it even worse by adding up and make a yes-no voting system. This is supposedly our talent hiring process designed to find great people, and if talent's our most important process, here's what we use for our most important process. Pretty random. I'd like to suggest there's an alternative. Rather than having a philosophy of weeding out the weak and then going through this domino effect that results in a problematic answer, let's start with a methodology that attracts the best. This is what, in our hiring manager training and our recruiter training, that's what our performance-based hiring is all about. It's a process designed to hire the best from beginning to end. It starts by converting jobs into careers. We don't use job descriptions, we use performance profiles that define the work a successful person needs to do, and then during the interview we determine if this job, in fact, makes career sense to the person. We write compelling ads that are career-oriented, that attract good people, especially the 83% passive candidates and all the best active candidates. Because these people are looking for career moves, the best people, we don't conduct the interview right away. We conduct an exploratory conversation to see if it makes sense to get serious. When we meet the candidates, we wait 30 minutes. We put our emotions in a parking lot so we don't overvalue first impressions. Sometimes candidates are nervous, and we want them to have an opportunity to be as real as they possibly can be. That same process, it takes the veneer off a superficial candidate as well. Then, during the interview, we actually dig into work history in great depth, looking for the achiever pattern. These are things in a candidate's resume that looks like that's forensic evidence that indicates the candidate's in the top half of the top 25%. Promoted more rapidly, bigger raises, bigger bonuses, some kind of formal recognition, being assigned to a multifunctional team, being assigned to work with corporate executives, working on a customer team, whatever it may be. There are certain indicators for any job that says this person's has the achiever pattern. Then we dig in at the candidate pass muster. We dig into what I call our two-question interview. One gets at a trend line of performance over time. The other one gets at job-related problem-thinking skills. Cover the whole gamut. Then we combine all of that, take everybody who's interviewed the candidate, compare the evidence across 10 factors. We don't add up the yes-no votes. What we do is we look at each of these 10 factors that have shown to be best predict on-the-job success. We have each of the interviewers grade the candidate on each factor, and we look for variances, but we use evidence to make the grading and the scoring. Then we add them all up to see who is the right candidate to make an offer to. It's not a yes-no voting system. It's sharing evidence to make a logical business decision. This is what we train in our hiring manager training program and our recruiter program. I like to use this slide or something similar to suggest as a way to summarize the whole process. Unfortunately, most companies go into a spiral of doom. Then they hope that the recruiters can overcome it. The way you overcome it is by building a process designed to attract the best and eliminate one designed to weed out the weak. Hopefully this has been successful. I'd like your feedback to see if this makes logical sense. We're discussing this topic right now on the Recruiter's Wall. Thanks very much.